Hey y'all. Happy Sunday. A little bit different intro music this week. I figured we'd bring the suspense up a little bit and just draw everybody in. God, that was scary. Get back, Mark. All right. Happy Sunday. Hope everybody's doing well. I'm joined today by Miss Liberty, the creator. You know her from IDC Woodcraft's Wednesday Live CNC Hangouts, and you know her from IDC Woodcraft's video series that you have been doing a lot lately, haven't you?
Yep. Trying to kick up the content.
Well, that's yeah. There's room for everybody, and I need the help. So I can't do everything by myself. But we're going to get into that in just a second. First, I have to say hello to and thank you to Steve over at Harneal Media, who is a sponsor of Mark Lindsay CNC.com. Um, Look, I've been singing Steve's praises for years, and I'm going to continue until he tells me to knock it off. If you are even toying with the idea of a website, you need to get over to harnealmedia.com, click that contact us link, and give Steve, shoot him a message and have a conversation with him. If you're a seasoned veteran and you know what you're doing as far as the website is concerned, he'll stay in the background and just handle updates and things like that. If you're like me and have no clue what you're doing, he'll take your hand and walk you through it step by step, like he does me just about every week. Um, I don't know how he does what he does. He's very reasonably priced, and you'll wonder how he gets away with doing it so cheap. Uh, do yourself a favor, head over to harnealmedia.com. There's a link in the description here and on every video and live stream on this channel. And it's that way for a reason. It's 100% personalized service. And when you're dealing with Harneal Media, you're dealing with Steve, not some nameless, faceless person in a call center someplace that you'll never talk to again. So, harnealmedia.com, sponsor of Mark Lindsay CNC.com. And thank you very much, Steve, for everything that you do. I greatly appreciate it. So, Miss Liberty, how goes it?
It goes well. It goes well.
Well, for those who don't know you, what would be the best way to introduce you to the folks who have no idea who you are?
Hopefully, if those involved know IDC Woodcraft, I got involved as just a little helper a few years ago now. And I started tinkering around with CNCs, and now I'm a blooming creator.
Yeah. Well, you currently right now you're the fulfillment manager, correct?
Yes.
Is that the correct title?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't want to make a mistake here. Um, if you have ever ordered anything from IDC, Liberty is the one who writes the notes on the packages and make sure the M&Ms are tucked safely away so that postal inspectors don't find them and what have you. This is all her. But you have started to step in front of the camera
Yep.
here lately.
Yep.
Um, and a couple of people have asked me, well, why Liberty? Why not Garrett or somebody else there? The I asked you for a couple of reasons. Number one being, let's face it, I'm an old man. And you're not, obviously. So I'm really, really big with the male 55 and older demographic. And I want to try to show everybody out there that this is not an old man's game. That young people are getting involved in this, and the creativity that's coming out of that is something. So I was after new perspectives.
Yeah, yeah.
So I guess my first question is not so much about your background, a little bit. Do you have a woodworking background? Has it been something you were interested in at all?
So, kind of yes and no. I'm kind of a jack of all trades. I like to try a little bit of everything.
Mhm.
And my final school years were spent on an alternative farm school where I constructed pavilions, tiny house,
Wow.
animal pens, coops,
Hmm.
student resources, things like that. And so while there wasn't CNC machines, we did have a lot of woodworking, a lot of hands-on things, and I've always been kind of artistically inclined.
Hmm.
So that's kind of where like CNC I could see like everything like kind of meshed together, and that's kind of what drew me to it.
Okay, so you like that hands-on work with your hands and have something tangible at the end of the day.
Yes, yes.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you there. I got involved in woodworking through my grandfather years ago. I was 7 years old, and I still have the first project he and I built together. So, and so working in IDC and seeing what was going on, did that kind of spark something in there, or were you kind of guided towards it, or?
So it honestly was very much sparked. I would come in, in the beginning, we had, not too much to handle as our company has grown and our CNC family has grown. There wasn't as much to handle. And so I was the first in person, and I'd come in, I'd do my job, and then I'd end up hanging around for an extra hour, sitting in the corner of the workshop while Garrett was filming, while he was
Mhm.
carving, while he was, programming and things like that, and just watching, or midday as the days got longer. And
Yeah.
I heard the machine going, I'd pop down there to see what was going on and, ask him questions, and just started like slowly building and inquiring. And he was finally like one day, like, do you want to learn this? And I was like, please. Please. So yeah.
That's great. That's excellent. Well, that kind of dovetails in with a question we got here from Butch Miller. Had you had any interest in CNC prior to your association with IDC?
I had no idea what a CNC was. Had no
Oh,
idea.
okay.
Yep.
Okay. So, about how long would you say you've been doing the CNC thing at all?
Um,
A year?
Gosh, I gotta think about that. Probably, I would say solidly for, a year.
Uh huh.
But I've been, starting to learn for probably a year and a half now.
Okay. Okay. So, less than 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And that's another reason why I wanted to bring you on because don't take this the wrong way. You're still fresh enough to where you're not jaded like myself or Garrett or some of the other old timers who have been at this for a while. And again, that fresh perspective means quite a bit when it comes to design, aesthetics, um, artwork. You haven't been you haven't been told you can't do something,
Yeah.
you know, and that is kind of exciting for me. So I want to get into that a little bit, but first we have a couple of questions here. Um, we have Alan Pruitt asking, "Where did Garrett find you?"
Downstairs in the coffee shop. I was a barista, and he was
Oh,
my regular, morning drip coffee guy that came in with his cup to fill up. And there'd be mornings I was busy that I'd be like, "Get your cup, Garrett," and he'd come behind and get his cup and throw the money on the counter. I'd see him later, and yeah, he just apparently, observed me not only with our interactions with each other because we, sit there and talk for half an hour sometimes,
Yeah.
but then my interactions with others, and he was like, I want you on my team.
Oh, wow. Wow. So you went from complete and total left field into this industry,
Yeah.
and it's just us talking. Nobody can hear us. Any regrets?
No.
None? Really? Okay. That's good. That's actually good. I'm glad to hear that. Not that I expected you to say anything bad.
No. I mean, being a barista was also on my bucket list. I wanted to learn how to make coffees. I wanted to learn how to do latte art, and I did all that.
Yeah.
And I still could, but now, I'm on a thing I didn't know was on my list,
Yeah.
and it
Okay.
keeps growing.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Um, so coming at this, I mean, I can sit here and Garrett can sit there all day and we can say it's this easy. Anybody can do this. Um, so coming at this still fairly fresh, what would you say was the hardest single thing you had to learn just getting involved in CNC and woodworking in general?
Um, I would say it's kind of a twofold thing with CNC itself. I was actually not very computer literate. Like I knew my way around a computer, but it was definitely surprising. And you can go at it a lot simpler. A lot of people just buy their files and go about it, and they don't have to learn a whole lot, and that's fine. But I wanted to learn more. I wanted to know how to use it. I wanted to make it my own and make my own. Um, and that was a lot, and that was scary, and there was more as I delved in more. But at the same time, you can go as deep as you want to go
Hmm.
into it.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. Um, so, what was it harder learning the computer, the design software, or learning the machine? Which do you think?
It was harder learning the machine would do exactly what I told it to.
Yeah, yeah,
That
that's
was the hardest lesson, was the machine will do exactly what you tell it to.
yeah, whether you want it to do it or not. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's what I tell folks all the time. The great thing about a CNC is it'll do exactly what you tell it to do. The bad thing about a CNC is it'll do exactly what you tell it to do.
Yep.
Yeah, it is. There's that. Okay, so the hardest part was learning the machine. Um, what was the hardest part of that? I'm just kind of trying to
Mostly my fear. My fear was
really,
my biggest like pushback. I was like, I essentially spent over 6 months behind the computer learning CNC. And so stepping into it, like actually using the machine, I think I let myself sit back too long and not
really.
touch the machine too long. Yeah. I think I was too afraid of it in a sense.
Hmm.
Um, and, but, at the same time, while the machine was hard in the aspect that it would do what I told it to do, the language was easy enough to learn because I did know again a lot of the background stuff.
Right.
It was like, oh, it's communicating to me exactly what I need it to. I just need to understand that. And building on that understanding, it became a lot less intimidating,
Yeah.
and I took it slow. I made my squares, I made my circles, I
Hmm.
wrote different names 100 different times before I ever truly made a project, just because I was learning how that machine communicated to me and how I communicated to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, that that is so important to do that. I'm really glad to hear you preach the gospel on that. That is so important. What I did was I got on my local Craigslist and went to the free section and started looking for junk wood people were throwing away. And I mean, I carved up old fence boards. And but I also scored some pretty cool stuff that way. Some guy was redoing his kitchen and he was getting rid of, I scored 16 solid cherry cabinet doors and
Wow.
drawer fronts. So I'm like, yes, Craigslist free section. I'm telling you. Uh,
Yep. I've pretty much done the exact same thing. I have somebody redid all their fencing, and they cut off all the tops of them, all those like
mhm.
tapered parts.
Yeah.
And so I have 6 to 10 inches of these just tapered, fence posts that I
Hmm.
have been sanding down and trying a new thing and sanding down
Yep.
and trying a new thing because it's nothing on me. I went 5 minutes uptown, picked them up, and I've
Hmm.
got 100 throwaway projects.
Exactly. You can make birdhouses out of those too, by the way.
Hmm.
Okay. Eighth Sinner wants to know, what is the hardest thing you've done so far, project wise?
Oh, project wise, okay.
Yeah.
Um, the inlays.
The inlays.
Yep, the inlays I just did.
And what was so hard about that?
So I didn't. So in my scrap wood collection, I don't always pay attention to what type of wood it is. And I'm learning like softwoods, hardwoods, how they
Yeah.
react to each other. So one of my main issues that came up was, my wood heart density factor
Okay.
fighting against me. Um,
Okay.
and then again, the other thing, it's doing exactly what you tell it to do. And so
Hmm.
sometimes I have this problem with flip flopping things, and so I
Ah.
kept flip flopping things.
Ah.
um,
Okay.
but honestly, so much went wrong in that project in the background in
Hmm.
so many different ways. I was at the end of my rope, so that probably
Really?
exaggerated that. But at the same time, like I'm motivated. Like I'm like, you know what? My next 5 projects are gonna be inlays because I'm going to learn this and perfect it and get it
Sweet.
through.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. That kind of dovetails in with a question that Kurt over at Crafty Jans had that I can't bring up on screen because it's way back in the chat. But he says, when you're doing a technique or project for the first time and it doesn't go as expected, what steps do you follow next? What do you do?
So I would a lot of times I try and backtrack. Sometimes the answer is right in front of you that you missed a step or you forgot something or you went ahead of yourself in some sort of way. Sometimes it's not so obvious, and I kind of just, first of all, I Google, has anybody else had this exact problem? Because sometimes the answer can be right in front of me, but I can't see it, but they already saw it, and I don't have to do any more investigating because they've already found the problem.
Yeah,
They've already
yeah,
found it, and I don't need to investigate anymore, and now I can learn how to prevent it in the future.
yeah, and yeah, yeah. There's YouTube University as well.
Exactly
So,
what I'm talking about. YouTube University, I find somebody that's had it before and I see how they fixed it. Beyond that, it's kind of an investigation process. You change one thing at a time that is more likely to affect whatever's going on, and if that does affect it, good or bad, you know that that was the fix. If it doesn't, then you move on to the next step and you fix. If you change too many things at once, you won't know what the fix was.
oh man, that is so good to hear somebody else say. Divide and conquer.
Mhm.
Divide and conquer. Do it one step at a time.
Yep.
And oh, that is so great to hear. Man, you were on the ball. Okay, uh, Oz Guzzy down in Lower Alabama. I have absolutely no idea what you're saying to me, my friend. Pair character looking at himself in the mirror saying, "Thanks for being you," with hearts popping out of his eyes. Well, everything except the hearts pop. I mean, I'm a pear shaped character, but when I look in the mirror, I just get depressed, so I try not to do that. Thank you very much, Oz. I appreciate that. We'll put that in the fund. Oh my God, you guys are the greatest. And totally unnecessary, but thank you very much.
That's awesome.
Good grief. Um, Rat's Nest has a word of advice. Look up Rosie the Riveter as inspiration. Is that an inside joke?
No, no.
Oh,
I
okay.
believe the Rat's Nest knows that we were talking about me designing my own logo.
Yeah.
Um,
He said up here I had that starred. You said something about making a logo for yourself. All right, now I get it.
yep.
Try Rosie the Riveter for. I
Love
don't
me some
know.
Rosie. Love me some
Well,
Rosie.
well, I had never heard of Rosie the Riveter. This is apropos of absolutely nothing. Um, ap- uh, I had never heard of Rosie the Riveter until my grandmother brought her up, and she brought her up in the context of, well, everybody was talking about that Rosie the Riveter, but she wasn't there helping us. My grandmother, 5 foot nothing tall, real skinny, frail thing, was a welder on ships during the war.
Oh wow.
And so she was the one they would put down in all the little tight places where the guys couldn't get to.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what the heck? Okay, Ellen says Rosie the Riveter is the logo for women who CNC.
Yep.
Okay. Um, Speaking of which, that is a group that you're involved with, correct?
Yes. Yes. It is a women's only group on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Kate Tucker is the one who created the group. She stepped into CNC and found what some of us find is not everybody's as friendly as you and welcoming as you and willing to answer questions without making us feel dumb. And so she designed a space where women can go to, and we're also trying to be involved in all the other groups and everything like that, but we can kind of have our space to be like, this is going wrong and I really don't want to be treated like I'm silly right now, so can
Mm-hmm.
y'all help me out? Or here is my project, I don't want it to be seen as silly, let me show you. And we're there to support each other, to help each other out, to cheer each other on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Well, from what you and Ellen and Kimberly and a couple of other women I know who are into CNC have said about that group, it's an excellent group to be a part of. Of
Yes.
course, it's for women only, hence the name. But whether you're watching this live or you're watching it on replay, there's a link to Women Who CNC's YouTube channel and the Facebook group down in the description here. So if you're interested in joining, get on over there, click on any of those links, and tell them Liberty sent you.
Yeah.
And that should help. So let's see here. Get some more questions going. Um, well, we already answered that one. Ellen wants to know what is your biggest fear with the CNC? Ooh,
It's interesting. Um, I don't know. I mean, probably that like there's going to be a vision that I can't communicate to the CNC or to the software. You know what I mean? That I can't get out of my head and onto
yeah,
the table.
yeah. I asked earlier what was the hardest part of learning this, and that was the hardest part for me was figuring out how to get it out of my head and into the computer.
Mm-hmm.
Because I got, I describe my imagination as two cats in a gunny sack with a squirrel circling them. You know, it is that chaos,
Ooh.
and I get involved in something and squirrel.
Yep.
It's dark and scary in there. So yeah, that's the hardest part. Dave Braden, also known as Sam Spade. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that completely. It's totally unnecessary, but thank you. I appreciate it. We'll add that to the fun. Let's see here. Butch Miller says, don't know which groups haven't been welcoming to women. Glad I'm not involved in any of them. Um, I can say this as a guy who is married to a former helicopter mechanic. Um, Women outside of what is considered a traditional role are looked at a little bit differently. I don't think most men realize what's going on, but women see it, and sometimes they just don't want to be bothered with it, you know. So, but I understand completely. I've never lived it, but I'm married to someone who has lived it. So, anyway, enough about that. That's not what this is about. Let's get into which CNC are you working with? Have you bought your own yet, or are you using Garrett's?
So right now I am working on the alt mill CNC, and
Mm.
that's Garrett's most recent edition. I've been working with that for the last couple of months. We actually just got a hold of a secondary space literally in the last like 4 days.
Oh, wow.
Um, and that secondary space part of it will be my studio. Um,
Ah,
so I have decided on a machine, and I am
uh-huh.
working on getting the quotes and everything to get that moving. So I will be working on a different machine here in the very near future as we get everything set up.
So, and that is going to be your machine
Yeah,
and your studio.
yeah.
So, are I see the name Liberty the Creator? Am I to imply that more content is going to be coming from you personally?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Are you will you be branching out into your own channel, or will you be staying on the IDC, or both, or none of the above, or
So I will definitely be continuing with the IDC channel, but I would love to start branching out.
Mhm.
I'm working on dipping my toes. Again, I'm a little bit of a scaredy cat. I'm a little apprehensive about some things, and so I just started my Instagram,
Mhm.
and I've hardly posted anything because I'm terrified.
Just be you. Just be you.
So
Don't worry about it.
but yeah, the hope is very, very soon to be able to branch out a little bit more, especially with
Mhm.
having my own space. I won't be having to coordinate schedules with who's using the CNC when.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it is right next door to the office, so I don't have to pack up, drive out, get set up, do the thing, pack up, drive back, that kind of thing. I can step
Yeah.
over, work on my things, step back, still answer the phones as much as possible, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's you're juggling several hats all at the same time.
yes,
It's
yes.
not easy,
No.
but when you're young, you can do it.
Yep.
I I I retired in 2018, and I still have no clue how I did everything and work a 40-hour a week job because I I need a day between Saturday and Sunday because
Yeah,
there just aren't enough hours in a day to do everything that I. Oh man.
there's really not.
So, uh, well, let's see here. Let me get back to some more questions here. Sargon Tavur, a prince among men. I'm telling you what. Do you see your future in the CNC world? I'm.
Yes. I
Oh.
mean, I'm in the CNC world now. I don't see myself really stepping away. Like I said, I like to try everything, so I definitely see myself continuing to branch out
Mhm.
on my creative measures. I love seeing a lot of the creators who are mixing. They're essentially mixing media, but in the sense of the woodworking media, they're using a scroll saw and a CNC and a this and a that, and creating these different layers. And so CNC, yes, will continue to be a part of it. What else will come in? I don't know.
Don't know. Are there lasers in your future?
Hopefully.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully. That
I
is
hear
the
the
whole
gears
hope.
turning right now. I
Yep,
want
yep,
to play too. I don't have room for a big laser. Oh, man. That's what happens when you work out of a garden shed. Anyway,
yep.
um, let's get back into the design and the artistic part of this. I've never asked you about, is there any particular aesthetic that you find yourself drawn to? Like personally, I'm drawn to craftsman or mission style. That's
Okay.
just something I like. Is there any one style like that that you're really
So far, no. So far, I have a few styles I'll repeat, but
mm-hmm,
at the same time, I want to try and see how I feel with different styles.
mm-hmm,
But a lot of it kind of just comes as it comes because I'm making it up as I go and I'm
yeah,
designing as I go. So I don't know what realm I would fall into necessarily.
mm-hmm. Well, is it? But do you go for more of a rustic type of a style, or do you decide that as you're designing? I think this would look best this way.
Mostly deciding as I'm designing.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I let the speak, whether it's I've thought of a design and then I find the piece for it, or I find the piece and the piece tells me what the design's gonna be. It all kind of speaks together and builds upon itself.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Is there? Okay. Where do you draw your inspirations from? Is it just they come from out of the blue, or something catches your eye, or
Everywhere, yeah. So, uh, something catches my eye and I want to figure it out is a lot of the times my thing, and then it's one of those like, okay, how can I add my creative twist to it? As far as creative inspirations, it kind of comes from everywhere. I've always been an artist and I've kind of always flown into different art styles depending upon how it's kind of fitting my needs at the time. So,
okay?
if I like with my most recent project, I was wanting to do, you know, around the time I was thinking about bees and I want to keep bees again and I don't have anywhere to keep bees, so you know what? Bees made it into the project.
Hey, there you go. Wherever it comes from. Um, I kind of, it just depends on the project, but a lot of times the wood that I'm going to use, it's cliche to say that it speaks to me, but sometimes it does decide what it wants to be,
Mhm.
you know,
Yep.
and more often than not, it tells me what it doesn't want to be. So,
Yep. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, you'll have that too, unfortunately.
Hmm. Okay. Eighth Center wants to know: are you more of an artist or engineer? Where do you shine?
In a weird middle ground, probably more towards artist.
Okay.
I like figuring out how things work, but I want to find the best way I can put my creative twist onto it.
Okay.
So, more artist, definitely. I don't necessarily engineer things or design things.
Yeah. Well, okay. When you say artistic twist, is that geared more towards color or texture or material? Which direction does your
So,
artistic twist tend to run?
mostly towards whether it be a color, or a true blue twist of doing it. Like, say, like a chair, for example, just finding a different way to do the legs instead of
Okay.
just straight stick up and down.
Hmm.
Finding, you know, like I loved working with these several cedar pieces I had because they were just so bright red in the middle and so stark white on the outsides that I was able to use the patterns in the wood to create a design
Mhm.
from the wood itself and not
Oh,
necessarily from something external, you know?
yeah. Yeah. Woman after my own heart. I'm a major wood nerd. Major wood nerd.
I'm learning.
Let's see. Okay, he follows up with your work is never going to be perfect, then, as the saying goes. What are your thoughts on that concept? Has that held you back or driven you forward?
Both. Both. I actually had to have a huge pep talk with my partner before this live
Hmm.
um, on feeling like I'm not good enough to be here.
Oh,
Um,
no, 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 no. No, 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 no.
um, so, and their concept was, it's you're always going to be your own worst critic,
Yes.
um, and it is perfect. And even if it isn't, you are striving to make it perfect. And that's the difference, is you're not just stopping when it's not perfect. So yeah, it definitely has held me back, but it's also driven me forward. It's made me angry at projects until I figure them out. You know,
Yeah, well, and you sound like me. Um,
I'm a passionate person, unfortunately, sometimes.
and that's what's needed. My attitude is that perfection is an abstract concept, and that what's perfect to you may not be perfect to me, and what's perfect to me may not be perfect to you.
Yeah,
I know I'm never going to get anything perfect. All I can do is the best I can do.
yeah,
That's all I can do, and hope that I'm a little bit better every day. You
yes,
know.
exactly.
And as far as you not thinking you're good enough to be here, you certainly are, or I wouldn't have asked you. So you certainly are.
Thank you.
Um, as I've told you, you have presence, and it shows. Your enthusiasm, number one, is more than enough. Um, Carrie McDaniel says, "Liberty, you're an inspiration to those of us who are learning, as we can share your learning journey." And I agree with that sentiment 100%. Um, you are on a journey, and you're fairly fresh in that journey. And that was one of the reasons to have you on, is to show folks who are also just beginning or are fresh in their journey. My overall goal with this channel is to show people you can do it.
Yeah,
But coming from an old man like me, it may not resonate as much as some coming from somebody else, another perspective and a
right.
fresher perspective. So, um, let's see what we got here for another question. Um, Alan Pruitt wants to know, aren't you an epoxy junkie?
I do love playing with epoxy. We've purchased epoxy a few times, especially from Total Boat.
Mhm.
I want to do a few more. I've got a few more epoxy projects in the works. One of my first projects, beyond just doing names on the CNC, was with epoxy. It was a little tic tac toe board.
Mhm.
Um,
I remember that video.
yeah, I've incorporated epoxy into just about every other thing I've done.
Yeah. The most dangerous thing in the world was me discovering epoxy. Now, I say that I'm so Scottish. I save everything, and I don't believe any scrap wood is too small. I have one of those 11-gallon kitchen trash bags.
Hmm.
I was running some walnut through the planer one day, and I just saved the whole bag of shavings because I thought they looked neat.
Yes.
This is, hold it up so the camera can see it, Mark. That's planer shavings in blue epoxy. I haven't made the project yet. I got it's on the list. Something as simple and stupid as that is, And then scrap wood. These are pen blanks. And I don't turn pens, but I've got blanks. I mean, it's sawdust and pieces of walnut hardwood flooring. It'll all eventually end up in something.
Yep.
And
Yep.
epoxy is the great equalizer
Yes.
because you can take stuff that's too small to be worked, embed it in epoxy, and now it can be worked.
Exactly. Exactly.
And it's all stuff that was. I've got a bunch of totes over here full of scrap. I've got one tote full of stuff that's it got sucked into the vacuum hose on my table saw, but it's too big to go all the way through the hose. I shake out
Oh,
the hose, it
yes.
falls, I throw it in a bucket. That'll end
Yep.
up in something.
Yep.
So it doesn't make sense, but it's not supposed to. Let's see here. Um, Tommy Medlin says, heard through the grapevine that you have an interest in the PWN CNC Dominator. I've been reading some of the forums. What's your thoughts on the Dominator?
So I am still interested in the PWN Dominator. It is not the one I am going with first, but it is still on the list. Um, I I love what I see from it. I've talked to Dan a lot about it, or listened in as he talked to Garrett a lot at the Workbench Con convention, um, and you know he is way smarter than I could ever imagine being, way more technical than I could ever imagine being. You know, he's an engineer. That's an engineer right there. But he's an amazing person, and I've seen nothing but great things from their product and from their service of their product.
Yeah.
Meaning, I know they haven't, gotten them to release yet, but, there are other products that they have offered, and anybody that's run into issues, whether it be operator error, a faulty thing, or what have you, they've been right there and helped people along. So they've got a good team built. I have nothing but high hopes for it.
Yeah, I've not really dug into it. I mean, I've heard a few things here and there and read a few things here and there, but I'm gonna have to check it out. I mean, um, I'm biased, of course. I'm an avid CNC fan, but you would expect that from me
Right.
because I got one. But I also know that there's a major price difference in a lot of these machines. So,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
and this is one of those things that can get out of hand real fast.
Yes.
But it's also kind of like a lathe. Buying the CNC router was not the most expensive part because now you got to buy every tool to go with it.
Exactly.
And that's an ongoing thing. And that's where y'all come in.
Yep.
So, yeah. Um, well, I was going to ask you something and it just totally went, phew, flew right out the window. But that's what it's like, living in my head. I'm going to look for another question. Let's see here. I had some starred. Okay, the elephant in the room. How's the mini split? It gets
Yes.
installed Tuesday. Okay. That's why my shop is a mess. I had to, and that's why there was no live stream last week. I had to completely tear down this computer station and move it over to the other side of the building so the electrician could get in here and run wiring for the mini split. So the electrician's been here, he's done his thing. The installer comes Tuesday. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, it's supposed to be 103 tomorrow and then cool down to 97 on Tuesday. But hopefully, it won't be a factor soon, and I can retire this beast and get it out of here. So the mini split it's happening. It's on its way Tuesday. So
Woohoo!
yeah,
Relief is coming.
yeah, that's been a 5 year. I've been saving up for it for 5 years. So you know.
You've earned it.
So those are all the questions. Well, there we go. Eighth Center popped in with another good question here. What's the project in your head you're not quite ready to tackle yet or still working up to? Good
Oof.
one.
So I have this. This is one of those. Am I going to be able to get it out of my head and onto the machine things? But I literally have a vision in my head of this beautiful, like, mandala lotus flower type thing, circular thing, but I want it to be a mixture of like 3D and inlay, and like I can see the different woods working together in my head. And but I also want it to be like I envision it very large, and so like that's another factor of intimidation is it's like I want it to be big, but it's sitting back here right now while I keep building.
Working up to it.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that. Um, are you talking about multiple layers stacked, or are you talking about a 3D carving?
Um, so kind of a both and thing. Like I imagine like the 3D, so doing some 3D carving where there's 3D effect, but using different woods that are whether it be
Ah,
stacked or
okay.
inlaid together to create and further the dimensions that the 3D is giving it.
Right. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. I gotcha. Uh-oh, here we go. Sounds option. Awesome. Egyptian influence with the Blue Lotus, I presume?
No, no, actually. So I fell in love with a lotus flower many years ago. It's been an inspirational flower of mine for a while. It grows in mud and yuck and grossness and stinky swampiness, and it is a beautiful, pure flower. Um, and so I'm just obsessed with it, and I love the dimensions and the artistic freedom of mandalas and creating patterns. So yeah.
Never even heard the word mandala until about 10 years ago when I started getting involved in this.
Oh really?
And when I saw what people were doing, it just blew my mind. And I had no idea of the significance of them. I had no idea what they were.
Yeah.
But now I'm kind of in the background, a little bit obsessed with them. And it's funny you mentioned the lotus flower. Looking at me, would you guess that my favorite is the lily? Just is.
Beautiful.
It just is. Um, let's see here. I have to go back up to it. Pete at Nature's Live Veg wants to know, do you have an inlay mentor?
Do I have an inlay mentor? No. I have watched a lot of creators' inlay videos. My next step is to test out Vetric's new inlay toolpath that they've got and see how that works for me. And I've watched their videos on using that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't have an inlay. I will say I've watched a lot of Ryan Japella from Cutting It Close. He has
Mm-hmm.
some really good ones on some high detail inlay for like cutting boards and things like that is his favorite thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of his videos have helped me out as well.
Have you done any work with end grain?
No, so that's one of the things that's also like shooting me towards trying inlay a bunch more is like I kind of ignored the end grain talk whenever I was watching all of these
Mm-hmm.
videos.
Yeah.
And I don't really know why. And now I'm like opening my eyes to it, and I'm like, okay, I want to play with this. I want to play with glue ups, end grain,
Mm-hmm.
and actually like trying again.
Well, have you seen the YouTube channel Bro in Wood?
Bro in wood, not off the top of my head.
It's all one word, so it looks like brainwood.
Okay.
He does end grain cutting boards, but he does very intricate patterns.
Okay.
And most of his work has the old Japanese samurai kind of aesthetic to
Mm,
it. So lots of different colors of woods and lots of real intricate patterns.
okay.
And I have heard from him and from another uh, buddy of mine, Scott Godby, over at M&S Woodworks. that you cannot get that real fine detail with face grain or edge grain. You've got to
Okay.
go end grain, otherwise you cannot get those real fine details.
Right.
Because the wood just wants to chip out. It just wants to split. It doesn't want to do anything. But with end grain, it's very forgiving.
Right. And
So,
so
and
that's what
that's,
I'm seeing, yes. And that's what I've
yeah.
been like, oh, like again, not really paying attention to what the wood's telling me until it's
Hmm.
telling me something. It's like, oh, it's telling me it doesn't like this direction. It's too weak for
Hmm.
that. Things like that. And actually, yes, I'm already subscribed to Broen Woodwork or
Ah,
Broen
oh,
Wood,
hmm.
and several of his videos are the ones that I watched. It just I had to get a
Yeah.
visual
Well,
reminder.
as he was saying, there's no way you can get that detail in face grain or edge grain. You have to go end grain with those.
Yeah.
So, just throwing it out there. The Pete, Nature's Live Edge, who was asking if you had an inlay mentor, he says you can reach out to me anytime. I've been
Okay.
at it for 5 years. So,
Absolutely. Thank you. I
um,
appreciate that.
Pete, I have your email information. If you want me to forward it to Liberty, I'm more than happy to do it, but I won't do it without your permission. So, just let me know. Let's see. Butch is asking, can you link that in the comments after? You're talking about Browen Wood and M&S Woodworks. I certainly will, Butch. I certainly will. I've had Scott from M&S Woodworks on as a guest a couple of times. His biggest video was a redneck's guide to V-carve inlays, and he's down in Lower Alabama as well. And he's a good guy. He's got that laid back country attitude. He's a real good guy, and some of his projects are over the top. Believe me, he just did one. Three different woods. I want to say it's a Japanese tiger fighting a or Chinese tiger fighting a dragon.
Wow.
It was spectacular. It was spectacular.
Wow.
So I'll link Scott in the description after I'm done with this too. So
Beautiful.
um, let's see. Oh, here we go. What did you just see that made you chuckle, Liberty?
Oh, that okay. So I think it was that I went over to my other screen to look up Bro and Woodwork, and I was like, oh yeah, I watched several of his videos. Why didn't I
Okay.
remember that I had already subscribed and everything like that? And I feel like a goober. So yeah.
Okay. So, taking this a little bit further, is your main focus going to be on wood, or are you going to be getting into other materials as well?
I will be getting into other materials as well. I actually have a couple pieces of glass sitting back here
Oh,
that I
okay.
just bought. So I'm gonna play with some glass engraving, possibly
Ah,
some glass cutting. But like I want to do some, I want to play more with epoxy inlays. I want to play more with acrylic. I've got
mm,
actually a set of acrylic that I need to design some things up for to mess with.
yeah.
So I definitely will be expanding my material usage here
It,
in the near future.
as soon as I get control of my right hand again because of these ding dong shingles, it's day 77, by the way, guys.
Oh,
Get your shingles vaccination. Um, I'm going to be working with the engraving as well. I have the Widget Works diamond drag bit.
okay. Yep.
I'm going to be doing some as well.
Yeah.
I've talked to Michael Mazalik, who is one hell of an instructor. He is a stained glass artist.
Ooh.
That's his primary job. He's been doing that for so many years, it's not even funny. Um, I asked him if he had ever used a diamond drag bit to cut glass
Mm-hmm.
because stained glass has such intricate patterns.
Right.
He says he tried several times with several different cutters. It doesn't work. He says you can get some basic shapes,
Mm-hmm.
but as far as cutting anything on a curve, he says it just doesn't cut deep enough.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Having the carbide cutter, the cutter wheel which is
Right.
what he uses. It cuts deep enough to where you get a clean score. He says, but the diamond drag, he says, it'll do basic shapes, but it won't do any intricate things.
Right. Okay.
And
Okay.
inside curves are the hardest one.
Right.
So, because it wants to break off in different directions.
Yes.
So, but I hope I didn't just dash your dreams there.
Nope,
But
nope. It's okay. It's okay. No, my main plan is engraving in it. But we were literally talking. We were like, I wonder if it can. Like, I like running experiments. I like pushing the
mhm,
limits of things. And so whether it can or it can't, I'm still gonna experiment. I'm gonna try it out. I'm gonna get, you know, maybe see what those simple shapes it can cut or how
mhm.
difficult it is, and just.
Yeah.
But no, it's I like experimenting. You didn't
Well,
dash any dreams. It's okay.
I was going to get a package of the those 1 foot square mirror tiles that people used to
Hmm.
put up on their walls. I was going to package of those and see if I could cut like ovals or circles out of those
Yes.
and just see if it would work.
Yes.
He told me it might. It's going to depend, but the carbide cutters, he says, are so much better, which got me to thinking. I wonder, could I invent a holder, kind of like a pen holder, for one of those carbide cutters that would swivel like a drag knife?
Mm-hmm.
And I was,
And then you could play with the pressure thereof.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, hey, it's okay. Center says I used to cut mirrors all day long, which is super easy by comparison. Yeah, okay. Breaking cut glass is not as easy as it looks when it's curves. The breaking process takes a lot, and I mean a lot of practice. Yes. Um, well, I don't mean to be stealing your thoughts, but I was taught at a young age you can't know everything, so surround yourself with the people who know what you don't know.
Yep.
And Michael Mazalik started off as my 3D guru, which he still is, but I toyed with a little bit of stained glass in high school. And when I found out that he was a stained glass artist, I was like, oh, Obi-Wan, let me ask you a few questions here. So
Yep.
that kind of got me going a little bit deeper. So
That's awesome.
I'm just echoing what he say. Bob Hiltebridal says, "How about a diamond drag bit?" That's exactly what we were just talking about. It it doesn't quite cut deep enough. It doesn't score deep enough to get a clean cut. So, oh man, let's see here. Oh, 8 Center says I'm planning glass cutting using the Shark pen tool holder with replacement carbide wheel. That's the part I meant you were stealing. Well, if you get that perfected, let me know. What, did you have a visitor?
Yep. Yep. Julianne. You're good. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, she should have come in and said hello. Oh well.
Yep. Yep.
um. Okay. So we kind of, I guess we talked a little bit, but where do you see the future going with you personally, and what your art? Where do you plan on taking it?
That's the scary part. I'm not really sure. I've been kind of, I've kind of fallen into this opportunity here. Um, and so I'm doing my best to take advantage of it as best that I can. Where it's gonna take me, I hope to continue to be able to be a creator and to work with other creators, and can you continue to learn alongside other people, through CNC, through at least currently my software is Vectrix, things like that.
Hmm.
And continue to connect with people that way. If I can continue to make a living, from that, and being here a part of the IDC community, I want to continue that as long as I can. I want to take it as far as it'll take me. I've had the opportunity to go to several events and meet some amazing people in some amazing spaces, and they're inviting me into their spaces. And like you
Uh-huh.
asked me to be in your space here, and I never would have had that opportunity had it not been for the opportunity IDC gave me, continuing to take advantage of that opportunity and putting myself out there.
So, if you had to give advice to somebody who is thinking of dipping their toe into this, what advice would you give them?
Um, I think one of the things, we've already kind of mentioned it tonight. One of the things that you run into a lot is you take a perception of a person and you kind of scoff at whatever advice they have, whether it's right or wrong. And I think being open to the people that are already in the spaces that you are trying to step into, being open to what they have to share with you, and listening to people like, yourself and Garrett and Kyle Ely in these spaces that, you know, are there, they have tried and trued it, and you're ready to share your knowledge, and they have to be open for that.
Okay. 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 Um, that's actually very good. That's very deep. Um, man. Eight Sitter wants to know many people aim and plan for one project to pay for their CNC purchase. Is that also your plan? And if so, what's that project?
No, no. So right now, I do projects that I can give away or that I can utilize. I don't sell anything currently. I'm still working full time fulfilling packages, and answering phone calls and emails and replacing bits and everything like that. So I don't plan for any one project to step in and change my life.
Yeah.
Um, I do expect a lot of the work to be put in to accomplish the projects that will sustain my life, and yeah, that's going to be multiple, that's going to be different angles, and I haven't found my niche. I'm going to maybe find some sort of niche that I will settle in and thrive in, and go from there and continue learning. But it's that's the problem. You can't aim for that one end all be all and it's going to be perfect,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's not.
Um, I'm with you. I tell people find your niche, then scratch it.
Yep.
It is simply that. There and inspiration can come from anywhere. I mean, some of the goofiest places, but eventually somebody with a need will come to you and you'll fulfill that need. And the next thing you know, depending upon how hard you want to work, 1,000 people are there with 1,000 different projects they didn't know they wanted, but now they need them yesterday. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And well, I told one one guy, be careful who you show things to, because the minute people see that, they're going to be asking you for stuff. And he made a simple address sign, because that's one of the things that I suggest to people as a first project. Just
Hmm.
make an address sign. You don't even have to hang it up,
Yep.
but just design it, cut it, paint it, finish it, because that is something tangible that you can hold in your hand and say, I did it.
Yeah.
He did it, and he put it up on his house. Then a neighbor, where'd you get that? Oh, I made it. Can you make me one? Well, sure. Said within 5 weeks, every house on his cul-de-sac had a address sign that he made them.
Yep.
And it's like, how's that for instant gratification, man? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
just you never know what's going to hit or where it's going to come from, but be careful.
Yep. Exactly.
So, um, yep. follow your heart in the moment and things tend to work out. That's true.
Yep.
I would say that. Um, I think Kate Center paid, I don't know how you're going to take this, but I think it's a compliment. She's an old soul, Mark. Expect deep. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Um, I, uh, man, I think we ought to go ahead and wrap this up now. We're kind of running down on questions,
Yep.
but I ask everybody this question.
Okay.
What is the one question that I didn't ask you that I should have?
Ooh. I don't know. The regrets one was a pretty good one. Um, I don't know. I can't think of a question you didn't ask that I would have appreciated. You continue to ask inquiring questions on my background and where my inspiration comes from and what the plans are. Like, I'm an open book.
Okay, well, I see that for sure. Um, I don't have a link to it in the description. I will get it from you
Okay.
as soon as we're done. So when we end the broadcast, don't run away, please. Um, uh, where can people find you? Where if they want to know more, if they want to reach out to you, where can they find you?
So right now, I will say I'm developing my Instagram. So I'm Liberty the Creator on Instagram. And I will get you that link. And then through IDC Woodcraft, I'm
Okay.
appearing there. So, yep.
Okay. All righty. Let's see here. Oh, okay. Garrett, I've noticed, knows a tiny bit about the law of attraction. Has he been teaching you that side of things?
Yes. Yep.
He has?
Yep.
Good. And I think Brooks Martin sums it up best for me as well. Thanks for coming on. Looking forward to see your next videos.
Thank you. I'm excited
Was
too.
was it as nerve wracking as you thought it was going to be?
No. Nope. Not a bit.
Still think you shouldn't be here?
No. I'm happy I was here. I'm happy to show up.
Would you consider coming back?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Do you have any last words? Anything you want to say to the folks out there?
I want to thank you for inviting me on and giving me this opportunity. I look forward to what we can create together in the future, and I want to thank everybody out there for their support. Nobody has been shy about encouraging me and, helping me out and bringing me up. And, again, a lot of this community that you have built has been very kind. They're not looking at me as the young dumb kid. They're like, "Oh my goodness, please join us," and that's the
Yeah.
best part. So thank
Well,
you, the community.
just me talking here, and some of you old poops like me can identify we need new blood. So you're invited to the party. We're glad you're here.
Yeah.
Um, Thank you very much for spending part of your Sunday with us both. Again, you can find Liberty. I'm going to post her Instagram in the. I'll put it in a pinned comment, so it'll be the first comment on the in the comment section, and I'll also put it in the description. But I'll put a link to Liberty's Instagram there, and you can reach her through IDC Woodcraft. Speaking of IDC Woodcraft, there is already a link to IDC Woodcraft's website and YouTube channel down in the description. There's also a link to CNC Entrepreneurs, a Facebook group for those of you who wish to join. That is hosted by Garrett and IDC Woodcraft. And I'll remind you that Garrett does a Wednesday night live CNC Hangout with Liberty and with Miss Juliann. And that's where I met Liberty and the rest of the crew. Um, all those links are in the description. The Wednesday night hangout is, let me get this right, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. On Wednesdays, get over there, subscribe early, subscribe often. Next week, I'm going to have as a special guest Mr. Mike Bernasconi. He is going to come on and talk about an interesting new piece of software that will make 2D and 3D work a heck of a lot easier. And I'm excited for this. Channel members already know. Channel members, Mike's going to be the guest tomorrow evening. We're going to get into the 2D side of that unnamed software and go through some of the processes with that. So that's 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern tomorrow evening. Check the community tab for the link to that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, or if you'd like to get some information on becoming a channel member, down below this video panel, you'll see the word join. Click that join button. You're not joining anything yet. A panel will pop up and a video will play, tell you all about channel membership. Then you can decide from there. I really hope to see y'all there. We have a great group of folks, and we'd love to have you join us. So, yeah, hopefully next week when we talk, it'll be nice and cool in here, and I won't have this noisy thing behind me. Again, thank you for spending part of your Sunday with me. I will see members tomorrow. Everybody else, see you next Sunday. Y'all take care.